There are many financial YouTubers out there, like Graham Stephan and others, who will tell you that going to college is an absolute waste of time and money. At the same time, I'm sure you've met people in your life who will tell you that going to college was the best decision they ever made in their life. So, who's right? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts about if college is worth it in 2021. Hey everyone, it's Prashant here. Welcome to my YouTube channel and thank you for joining me in today's video. Before I dive in today's video, I want to give a small disclaimer. Obviously, my thoughts are based on my perspective, which is formed because of my background. So before we get into this video and I give you my thoughts about college, let me tell you a little bit about my background. I was born and grew up in India. In 2010, I graduated high school and went on to college to earn my bachelor's degree in engineering. Trade jobs in India, like a plumber, electrician, or construction jobs, don't pay really well. There is no way that you can work one of those jobs and maintain a decent middle-class lifestyle. Both my parents have some college-level education, so when my brother and I were growing up, it was almost a given that we would be expected to go to college. Personally, I had no doubt in my mind that I wanted to go to college. When I was growing up, I was fascinated by buildings, bridges, and construction in general, and I realized at an early age that that is the field that I wanted to work in. As I got to high school, I realized that I really enjoyed physics and mathematics, and then I decided to go to college to pursue a civil engineering degree. In 4 years, I graduated with a civil engineering degree and I got a job offer right on campus. Now, to give you an idea of the job market in India when I graduated back in 2014, the job I was offered was going to pay me just under 4 lakh rupees per year, which was about $5,000 a year. And that was actually considered a good job offer for what I was doing. Now, the problem with this was that houses in my area were going for about 200,000 US dollars at that time. So you see, if I had taken that job offer, there was no way that I would have been able to buy my own home. Guys, before we continue with this video, I want to take a second to say thank you to those watching for subscribing to my channel. I have recently crossed 100 subscribers and I'm very excited about this fact. In fact, YouTube has given me a custom URL, so if you now type youtube.com/PrashantKuchi, you will land directly on my YouTube channel. Please help me continue with this momentum and hit the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon to be notified instantly when I post a new video. Now let's get back to it. When I was in college at about 20 years old, I'd never traveled outside of India and I really wanted to go out there and travel the world. At the same time, I was absolutely obsessed with the US, probably because of all the Hollywood movies and TV shows I used to watch. So I decided to look into pursuing my master's degree here in the United States. I followed this up with a pretty intense research phase, including programs and colleges I wanted to apply to, what their application criteria was, what tests I needed to take, and most importantly, how much it was going to cost. After I'd figured out what it would cost me to go to college in the US, I had to talk to my parents to figure out if it was even possible for me to do this. You see, in India, you cannot get an education loan above $10,000 without any collateral. For amounts less than $10,000, you need a parent or a co-borrower to sign on to that loan. For amounts above $10,000, you need to have collateral, like a house or something, as well as a co-borrower, like a parent. Since I needed more than $10,000 in education loans, I definitely needed to talk to my parents to see if they would be able to put something down as collateral and co-sign the loan for me. Luckily, they agreed. Now, obviously they did this because they believed in me as parents usually do, but also because I had done my research thoroughly and I was able to present it to them very clearly. I had figured out that it would cost me about $30,000 per year in tuition, which was much higher than normal because I was an international student. On top of this, it was going to cost me $10,000 in living expenses, including food as well as rent. On top of this, I knew that I would have to spend some money for travel and some miscellaneous expenses. Since I was going to pursue a program for 1.5 years, I was budgeting around $65,000 to $70,000 required for the entire program of study. I then started researching what I could expect to make as a civil engineer living in the United States after graduation. And I realized from my research from websites like Glassdoor.com that I could expect to earn about $60,000 a year. I also figured out that my living expenses after graduation would probably be about $30,000 to $40,000 a year, allowing me to save $20,000 to $30,000 per year. This meant that I would be able to pay off my education loan of $65,000 to $70,000 in 2 to 3 years if everything went well. Now remember, there were many risks involved in this plan. Would I be able to get in a good school? Would I be able to complete my studies? Would I be able to get a good job? Were all my calculations correct? And the biggest one of all, which all of my fellow immigrants know, Would I get a visa? Now, my family and I sat down together and discussed all of these risks and ultimately felt that these were risks that we were willing to take, and we went for it. Then I studied really hard for the tests I needed to take, including the Graduate Record Examination or GRE and the TOEFL, which is basically a test to prove that I can read and speak English properly, which was really funny because English was one of my native languages. Anyhow, I did really well in these tests, sent in my applications, and got accepted in 4 out of 7 schools that I applied into. I then ended up going to the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign for my master's in civil engineering. I then graduated and ended up getting a job, and guess what? My calculations were correct. So for me, college was very important and successful, and it was an excellent return on investment. It opened career opportunities that were definitely closed for me had I not gone to college. On top of this, it gave me the opportunity of coming to the United States, for which I'm eternally grateful. Obviously, that makes me biased. That being said, I've spent a lot of time thinking about this topic, and I want to make sure that I lay out my thoughts on this topic very clearly. First up, if you're in a country like India where college is relatively cheap and opens up a lot of career opportunities and trade jobs don't pay very well, college can be a great option. On top of this, if you're a student who's looking to immigrate to another country, going to college can be a great option too, because a lot of countries give an immigration pathway to college graduates. On the other hand, if you're specifically in the US, where college is very, very expensive, you need to really understand what you're getting yourself into. It is very common for people to have in excess of $100,000 in student loans. At the age of 17 or 18, when you're signing up for these loans, it is very, very difficult to understand the gravity of the situation. At this point in life, these are just numbers, and it is really, really hard to understand the significance and the importance of what this debt will do for you as you go through life. Most 17 or 18-year-olds are not used to managing large amounts of money. They are usually not equipped to be able to run a household or pay a lot of bills, let alone paying back such a great amount of money. It is very common for people to carry their student loans well into their 30s and 40s. All this time, people have to spend money monthly towards paying down their student loans, which makes this money unavailable to paying down a mortgage or investing for the future. In addition to that, because you have a large loan, banks will be less likely to give you a large mortgage because you're already carrying some debt. In both situations, whether in a country where college is relatively cheap or in a country where college is relatively expensive, I think it is very, very important to choose a good major. I think it is vital when choosing your major or course of study to take into consideration the income potential. After all, you could be investing a large amount of money and 4 or maybe even more years of your time. Now, if this is a major with high-paying job prospects like engineering or medicine, maybe it makes sense to take on debt, because you will likely be able to pay off that debt pretty quickly. On the other hand, if you're looking at a major that does not offer high-paying job prospects, I would say you need to carefully look at this decision. Is there something else you would like to do? Is there a trade you would like to learn? Can you invest in an education that does not require going to college, like a home appraiser, a home inspector, or a real estate agent? Or if you do want to go to college, can you go to 2 years community college while living with your parents and then transferring to a 4-year college for your final 2 years to reduce your overall cost of education? You might have heard people say, do what you love and your job will never feel like work. I completely disagree with this. I think that yes, it is important to enjoy the job that you do, but it is also important to do a job that pays you well, that is able to pay for your lifestyle and allow you to save for retirement. On top of this, you can always do whatever it is that you love on the side. This makes sure that you're not trying to turn whatever it is that you love into a full-time career, and make sure that you don't get stressed if it's not working out immediately. I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I truly believe in backup plans A, B, and C, and this is just another part of that. So to wrap up, in my opinion, having a college education is not required to be successful in life. It works out for a lot of people, but it also does not work out for a lot of people. Like most things in life, this is a decision that you really need to think about, and you have to analyze your choices carefully. You need to clearly understand what it is that you're trying to gain from a college education, what your investment is, including time and money, what your interests are, what your job prospects are, what your other alternative options are, and only then, after carefully reviewing all of these things, you need to make the best choice for you. Just remember, college is not the only way to be successful in life. It is just one option among many others. And remember, you can always choose to go to college at a later stage in life. If that is what you decide you truly need after doing something else, right after high school. On the other hand, you might decide to pursue a different career than your area of study after graduating college, or maybe even after working for a few years in your field. Because college is a huge decision with far-reaching consequences in your life, including the time spent, the money spent, the opportunity cost, the debt involved, and the career prospects, it is just something that you really need to think about carefully before you make your choice. If you really think about it, you will not go wrong no matter which choice you take. So that's all I have for you guys in today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please go ahead and hit that like button and click that subscribe button to get me to 200 subscribers. I post at least one new video every week with great new financial content, and I would love to see you back here. Also, go ahead and follow me on Instagram and Twitter, where I post every week. The handles to those will be down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.